In this video, I'm going to talk about everything that's been happening in the CrossFit news. Although we are in the off season, there's still a lot to talk about. There has been some big changes to the CrossFit season, starting off with the worldwide ranking system. And you may think this only affects the elites, but there was some talk on the CrossFit podcast. This could eventually be used at lower levels. I'm thinking that could be amazing for anybody doing qualifiers. In order to qualify for their event, they could start using this worldwide ranking system as a way to give out invitations to people. I know there was something previously called levels. I'm not sure if anything happened with that, but it sounded like the general idea was to rank people in different ability levels so that they could like slot into different competitions. From listening to the podcast, this sounds kind of similar to what they were getting at, but at the moment the ranking system is mainly aimed at the elite athletes, and the purpose for this is because they've changed the qualifying system. So the qualification system to the CrossFit Games starts with the Open, then after that it goes into the quarterfinals, and then after that into the semi-finals. This year all of the workouts are going to be exactly the same in each one of the semi-finals. I'm not really sure if I agree with this. So ordinarily, lots of different regions around the world have an allocated number of spots. But this year, they've got 17 new spots that will be allocated depending on the strength of the field in various areas around the world. And they're going to use this worldwide ranking system in order to figure out where they go. However, the problem with this is they've created these 17 spots by taking spots away from different places. So North America, who normally have a lot, they normally have 20, they've gone down to 10 spots, whereas Europe have gone from 10 down to 5. A lot of Europeans feel like Europe is quite underrepresented at the CrossFit Games. Europe is a massive continent with lots of different countries, and within those countries there are loads of elite athletes. And even with the 10, there was so few spots for so many countries. But the one positive of this is that the regions can end up taking back those spots. So although Europe has technically lost 5 spots, they might end up taking back those 5 and then maybe even getting more of them from the American spots that have been given up. They could potentially get all 17. I don't think that's likely. I don't think we've got that many elite athletes, but it would be good to see how many are allocated to Europe depending on the ability, and then we'll get a good idea of how good different regions around the world are in comparison to each other, which I think is a really exciting development. Let me know what you think. Do you think that they should have taken the spots away from Europe or America? Personally, I think America's always been really overrepresented at the CrossFit Games. There's always been a lot of fit people in Europe and Australia and other places. Because it started in the US, I feel like they give a lot of places to the US, and it will be interesting now to see if they are truly like the fittest just because it started there first. Super teams are back. Basically, they haven't stipulated that you have to live a certain distance away from an affiliate or any of that this year. You just have to be able to perform the tests at an affiliate. At that affiliate, you have to be able to travel to that affiliate. They haven't said how far away you can come from to travel to go to that affiliate, which I think is quite exciting. I preferred it when we had like the super team kind of format, and I'm excited to see more of that, hopefully. The other alteration to the way the team format is working, your team is locked in basically from the start. You don't have the opportunity to sub somebody out if they're injured or if they're doing the individual competition, for instance. Whereas in that year when they did have the super team style format, they did have like the individual elite athletes helping teams qualify by entering into their team, and then a few of them like subbed out for an athlete that didn't complete the qualifiers, and that seemed like quite unfair. So I think that's quite positive. Noah Olsen also announced that this will be his last year as an individual athlete.
It's my final season competing at the CrossFit Games as an individual athlete. I don't want to just kind of continue on that hamster wheel of trying to win the CrossFit Games.
And that he plans to compete in the future with Chandler Smith in a team.
Fully intend on competing in the team division of the CrossFit Games. My good friend Chandler Smith and I have talked about doing that for a long time, and hopefully we put together a team that is able to win the CrossFit Games multiple years in a row.
So this gives him a great opportunity. If the rulebook stays the same from this year to next year, then his other 2 athletes from his team don't necessarily have to go to the same affiliate. This opens the door wide open for really elite teams to come through and make the team competition really exciting to watch. More women are speaking out about people commenting on their bodies in CrossFit. We had the Dani Speegle situation, and Hayley Adams was also recently talking about people commenting on her body on the podcast with Nikki and John, which is called Kettlebells and Cocktails. Hayley Adams notably wears a lot of clothing. She wears quite baggy t-shirts, she wears leggings, so it really contradicts that argument of that, oh, they're wearing too little, so of course we're going to comment on their body. It's clearly still an issue no matter how much clothing you wear. I massively recommend going over and listening to these podcasts the whole way through. Both Hayley and Dani's insights are really interesting, and Nikki brings up some amazing points, and I think it's really important that we listen to women on this topic and their experiences. It's really cool to see Katrin and Annie doing a podcast together, and this was so interesting interesting to listen to. Katrin has obviously moved to Matt Fraser's program, Hard Work Pays Off, and we're expecting to see her improve quite a lot. She talks about all of the changes she's been going through, how she's experiencing quite a lot of discomfort, but she now acknowledges that discomfort leads to growth, which is a great mindset shift. She also talks a little bit about how she always tries to be positive.
I don't like sharing, not like that it's a negative, it just is, but if it's not all happy and positive, and if I don't feel like I'm exuding joy or motivation, I feel like I just want to like crawl into a shell and just I'll figure it out and then I'll show up again once I'm better.
And Annie does interject and point out that it's not always helpful to be forcing yourself to be positive all the time.
It's so important to also share the hard parts because that's something that we can all relate to as well.
And that it's part of the human experience to have negative feelings. And I think for Katrin, this is another symptom of her coaching from Ben Bergeron, who often talks about trying to be super positive in a way to me that seems like kind of toxic positivity, forcing positivity when actually you're experiencing something really negative, kind of branding that as good mindset coaching, which I personally don't agree with. It works for some people, but it was really interesting to see this kind of come up in how Katrin was talking. And actually you could tell the negative impact that it had on her, trying to force herself to constantly be positive, and that maybe she built that as a kind of facade, which can often be very isolating because it leaves you to deal with your negative feelings and experiences on your own. Whereas Annie has had more experiences recently that have led her to deal with her negative experiences. She suffered postnatal depression. She's clearly done a lot of growth in that space, and I loved hearing the two of them just discuss that openly and talk about the things that have affected them in a really candid way. I was really excited to watch the Down Under CrossFit Championship, and Noah and Chandler did really well, which again is another sign that they're going to absolutely smash it when they end up entering the CrossFit Games as a team. I'm excited to watch that. There was also another team with Ricky and Calm Porter, and I've enjoyed seeing them like battle it out against each other in a different style format. Tia Toomey was supposed to compete.
Unfortunately, the team of Tia Toomey, Brooke Wells, and Ellie Turner will not be competing due to Tia having to withdraw.
But she ended up not competing because of her back injury. What I didn't realise about this is that Tia actually doesn't know what's going on with her back injury, and she mentioned this on the commentary.
Technically, I still don't know what the problem is, so I think we're at that stage of going and getting it scanned. The reason I've been pushing it off is because, you know, it's very expensive over there. So I was like, look, I'm just going to wait until I get back home where I actually have, you know, better health insurance and everything like that.
She was gonna get it scanned when she returned home, and then she'll truly find out what's going on and like whether she needs surgery or what kind of injury it is or how long it's gonna take to recover. By the sounds of it, she really doesn't know anything at the moment, which really shocked me actually. I thought she knew what was going on and she was kind of managing it based off of that. So we will see what happens there. I really hope she looks after herself and she does what's right for her recovering from this injury, because it would be cool to see her compete again in what might potentially be her final year. Again, we can never know with Tia. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like because that helps support me and my videos in the algorithm. You might like my analysis of Ben Bergeron's coaching, both with Katrin and also Chandler Smith. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.